Peppa Pig is a show full of hidden mysteries and super interesting references, but you have to be sharp to catch all the secrets hidden in the background of the episodes. Do you think you know all the secret scan theories lurking in the stories of this little pink piggy? You know the Pig family kids are named Peppa and George. That's an easy one. But if I ask you what Mommy Pig's real name is, would you know the answer? If you paid attention to the episode Time Capsule, you would have caught this detail. In this story, Madame Gazelle asked the students to bring interesting objects to bury in a container that will only be opened in the future. We know that this vampire-looking teacher was Peppa's parents' teacher as well, so by the end of the episode, we find out that the adults also have their own time capsule. That's alright interesting. But when they open the old box, we see a video of Daddy Pig alongside Mommy Pig when they were kids. Take a look at Mommy Pig's dress. It's covered in flowers. That might be a clue that her name is something flower-related, maybe Rose. Not convinced? Let's compare her with Aunt Dottie, who wears a polka dot dress. The two pigs are sisters, which means it's a family trend to wear clothes that match their names. Aunt Dottie's name refers to the dot pattern on her dress, so this could be a clue that Mommy Pig's name has something to do with flowers. Pretty interesting, right? We've got even more details to reveal. What if we told you that a crime took place at the city's science museum? Yep, most likely it was the bad guys. They might have stolen some valuable paintings. You probably didn't notice because you were too focused on the main story, but we're about to prove it. When we enter the science museum, we see a fancy painting of a green apple and another fruit, which is probably a pear. Everyone has their own taste in art, but if it's in a museum, it must be because a famous artist painted it and it's worth a lot of money. But when we take a few steps forward, something incredible happens. The same painting appears in another spot in the museum, meaning there's a duplicate. That's a huge mistake because valuable paintings don't have copies unless one of them is a fake, meaning the original was stolen, and that's not all. Miss Rabbit nearly knocks over an expensive-looking vase, but later, when Edmund is inside the rocket, we see another copy of the vase on a different floor of the museum. Yep, someone stole the real artwork and replaced it with cheap fakes. Could it have been Mr. Fox, or was it the bad guys? There's a mystery surrounding Claire Cow. This little calf lives in Peppa's town with Mrs. Cow and her husband, Mr. Bull, but she never interacts with Peppa. In the episode Children's Festival, everyone goes to the amusement park to have fun, and we bet you didn't catch these references. The first one shows little Claire Cow playing with her mom on the Ferris wheel. But why doesn't she go to Peppa's school? The show's creators never confirmed if this character is important to Mrs. Cow's story or not. If she lives in town, why wasn't she at Mr. Bull's wedding? So many mysteries surrounding this hidden character. Could it be that she was bitten by Madame Gazelle and has to stay away from the others? In the same episode, we see multiple references to Captain Redbeard, bad pirates. First, he appears on a piece of paper that Daddy Pig shows the kids. Then there's an image of him on the banner at the amusement park entrance. And inside the storytelling hut, we see a framed picture of him on his boat, right in the same scene where there's a pirate hat in the corner of the screen. The interesting part, in that picture, he has a parrot. And surprise, surprise, that parrot is Polly, Grandpa Pig's pet. Could Polly have been Captain Redbeard's old crewmate? And do you like pirates? Comment #C so we can plan an ocean adventure together. Ben and Holly. As you may already know, Peppa Pig's creators, Mabel Astley, Mark Baker, and Phil Davies, also created other cartoons and love sneaking in references to their other works in Peppa Pig episodes. When the Pig family travels to America, Peppa visits the famous Times Square in New York City. Everyone knows this part of the city is full of big screens and billboards, and one of them shows Ben and Holly from Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, another show created by the same team behind Peppa Pig. Could these two characters have a musical on Broadway? That would be an amazing show to watch. The creators of Peppa Pig tried to hide a very eerie detail about Madame Gazelle's husband from you, but we're about to reveal it right now. Inside Peppa's teacher's house, there's a picture of Mr. Gazelle. This photo is important for the explanation, so pay close attention. He's wearing a fancy suit and a top hat, showing that he was a very wealthy man. This explains the size of Madame Gazelle's house, but if you look closely in another episode, the one at the Science Museum, in the scene where little Edmund is inside the rocket launched by Grandpa Rabbit, for just a brief moment, less than a second, there's a painting showing Mr. Gazelle. He's wearing an old military uniform and a soldier's hat, but there's no doubt that it's him. The mustache and the position in both pictures are the same. But this soldier's uniform is so ancient that it proves he was alive a long time ago, confirming that Madame Gazelle isn't the only vampire in the family. What could have happened to Mr. Gazelle? Maybe he went out in the sun, or he's just taking a nap inside his coffin and will wake up soon. Grandpa and Grandma Pig's attic holds some interesting secrets. One of them is the presence of a violin inside a box. Why is this strange? Simple. That violin is most likely a Stradivarius, which means it's extremely expensive and definitely shouldn't be left inside a dusty old box. Let's be real, it's already weird that the Pig family has enough money to own something like this, but hey, anything is possible. But the real question is, who in Mommy Pig's family plays the violin? Could it be Aunt Dottie? Actually, It was Mommy Pig, because in the episode Musical Instruments, she says she used to play the violin, so that means it was hers. Do you like chemistry? Some school subjects can be really tough, but Peppa Pig is also a very educational show. And if you love learning, you probably noticed this cool little reference. When Grandpa Rabbit is teaching the kids about dangerous sciences, there's a blackboard in the background with some letters and numbers written on it. The one that stands out the most is H2O2, which is the chemical formula for hydrogen peroxide. The funny thing is that hydrogen peroxide isn't really that dangerous. Of course, don't mess with chemicals you don't know, but the joke here is that Grandpa Rabbit is talking about a dangerous science while using the formula of something that's basically just water. Of course, don't mess with chemicals you don't know, but the joke here is that Grandpa Rabbit is talking about dangerous science while using the formula of something that's chemically similar to water. You know what's actually dangerous? Not subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. Fix that right now. Remember when we talked about a thief who broke into the museum and stole some valuable things? Well, that person was Grandpa Pig. We know it's shocking, but it's the truth. Don't believe us? First, let's take a look at the pirate ship painting inside the town's museum. And remember, if it's inside a museum, that means it's worth a lot of money and not for sale. Right at the top of the museum, there's this really cool painting of a wooden ship, but it also appears somewhere else, a much less visited place to be exact. Grandpa Pig's house. It's literally the same painting on Grandpa Pig's wall, with just one small change to make sure no one notices it was stolen. The painting is flipped to the other side. What a disappointment, Grandpa Pig. This proves you are a pirate, and Polly was friends with Pirate Redbeard because she loves pirates just like you. Here's another detail that goes unnoticed by fans. Susie's sheep might have something to do with Grandpa Rabbit, the scientist. Susie wears wool pajamas with an anchor symbol in the center. That's weird because the little sheep has nothing to do with the sea, but have you heard the theory that she's a clone, just like the real-world sheep Dolly? Susie could only be an experiment by Grandpa Rabbit, who uses sheep to sell wool clothing in his daughter's shop. And the biggest evidence? The hat the pirate wears on his head with the anchor symbol, and Peppa's best friend's pajamas. That's why there's also a Mrs. Rabbit in every town. They're all clones for Grandpa Rabbit's grand world domination plan. You know that collection of ships and bottles that Grandpa Pig has? Well, they show up somewhere else too, at the back of Mr. Fox's shop, being sold as a super expensive luxury collection. We don't know if on that night when Mr. Fox sneaked into Grandpa Rabbit's garden to take the chickens, he also took a peek in the attic to see if there was anything valuable. Or maybe Grandpa Pig actually bought the bottles from Mr. Fox. But one thing's for sure, at some point, Grandpa Pig's collection ended up in the hands of the biggest thief in town. Could the two of them have some kind of secret deal? The next detail is actually a really funny little trick. In that episode where George finds a dinosaur bone in Granny Pig's backyard, they all go to the museum to find out if it's real. Let's be clear, this story involves some varied items, like very expensive porcelain teacups that were probably stolen by Grandpa Pig. In a hilarious twist, the bone George found fits perfectly into the skeleton of the dinosaur at the city museum. So that means someone, and we're not saying who, stole the bone and buried it in their own backyard. But that's not even the joke here. If you pay close attention to the background of the room, you'll see a painting of an asteroid right behind the dinosaur, a little nod to the extinction of these creatures. There's actually a little reference to Polly in Mr. Fox's shop, a box with a picture of that parrot printed on it. That probably means Polly is famous, because that definitely looks like some kind of bird food container. Could it be that Polly is a model for pet bird food brands? That would be interesting, and it might even explain where the Pig family gets their money from. We know that Grandpa Pig is great with farming and animals, so could he and Granny Pig actually own a company that sells bird food? We're still trying to figure that out. What we do know is that you can stick around with us if you want to keep having fun. We've got 2 more awesome videos lined up for you. See you in the next one.